I was born on a horse's back. I've been training horses and grew up on a farm all my life. But I started with a guide dog school in 1994, and I just fell in love with just watching something so young grow into something so intelligent. You look at such a young dog that you look at it and you're like, oh, really? This is what they're gonna do? And then you watch them grow into something that you've helped mold into a team. And that's just rewarding. Just for me, I just have that natural love of doing it.
How many dogs have you trained?
How many dogs have I trained? I've trained 14. The first dog, he was a great dog. He was a German Shepherd. And we had our challenges. He was learning, and there was a lot of learning for me. He ended up having a medical and was pulled from the program at the age of 10 months. He had some allergies, and very disappointed because he was my first dog, very special. We're doing this. He's gonna make it. He was great. He was actually a really great dog. And when I brought him back to the school, their jaws dropped at what an amazing dog that he had become. And unfortunately, it was very disappointing. He was pulled for medical. So I remember him.
What was his name?
Sydney.
Sydney.
You can't answer me. So Sydney was my first dog, and he was pulled for medical. It was heartbreaking, but he became very valuable to us in the future because I continued to raise. And being that he was such a confident dog, he actually helped me train the rest of my puppies. He taught them how to behave, respect, how to walk confidently, how to behave in public, especially when I had, I think it was my fourth puppy, Wilma. She's another story, but she was one of my challenging puppies. Well, when we first brought her home, unfortunately, the poor thing was just sick. For 6 to 8 weeks, we were bringing her back and forth to the vet. The poor thing we couldn't figure out why she had just diarrhea. And so that set her back a little bit. The dog was just the kindest. She would come to you every time you called her. But I think she just had, she made a good pet. Ultimately, she made a good pet. Very lovely dog, but just from the start, I think she had a bad start. And we just looked at her. We kind of knew that she wouldn't be what they were looking for in a service dog. So she became a nice pet to actually my boss. So she made Marley look good, but we loved her. She was our first lab that we had raised, and I've always grew up with, and I liked raising the shepherds. So the first time we fed her, I was just appalled at how quickly she ate her food. When my husband got home, I'm going to watch this. I put her food down and it was gone within seconds. It was gone within seconds. And I'm like, German Shepherds, they just don't eat that way. And so I made a phone call to the school and to my puppy counselor, and I asked for tips on how to slow her down. And they gave me many different kinds of tips to slow her down on her eating habits. But she was fun to have, very entertaining. But when we brought her back to the school, there was a young trainer there. He's just started, and he said, she's going to be a little bit of a challenge for you. And he looked at me and he's like, oh no, I got this. He's like, no, we got this. And now they called me 3 days later and said, you got to come and get her. So we did. And she lived a happy life for many, many years. So a puppy counselor is there when you have questions, good and bad challenges. It's a group that we get together every month. And we talk about challenges, advice. We get together, we do activities, go ride school buses or go sit at the school, or we go to nursing homes. So it's just a group that we can all lean on each other and get good advice, share our successes and our challenges. Yeah. So there's several shining moments of raising these puppies. One is watching them graduate and become a team that you worked so hard to do. And there's shining moments throughout raising a puppy, moments that you worked through a challenge. Maybe it's learning how to go upstairs, or teaching it how to down or sit, especially when there's kids all around you, and then your puppy succeeds and does what you've asked it to do. So throughout this year and a half, there are many successes that you work through. So when you see that light bulb in your puppy's brain go off, like, I got this, and they're so happy to do it for a little food nugget, is pretty incredible. And then again, ultimately watching that little puppy that didn't get it initially grow up into this successful team. So my puppy counselor called me about this puppy raiser. It was his first time, and he named it Mix. It was half golden, half lab. And she called me and she says, Fran, I need your help with this puppy, because I know you have enough experience to handle this. She said, but this puppy continuously jumps on this gentleman and pulled him down. He hurt his back. So she says, I need you to take him for 4 to 6 weeks. And I went in there, and when we walked through the door, I seen what the gentleman was doing wrong. I guess I hate to say anyone's doing anything wrong because he's a volunteer. But I seen what he was doing. So we took the dog, and initially I'm going, this dog's never gonna make it as a service animal. And so we had him 6 weeks, And within hours, I had the dog performing, and we quickly got rid of some of his bad habits that he had learned, and the dog guides their person to this day. The most frequently asked question is how can you give them back? And it took me until like my third dog before I could really truly answer the question. My German Shepherd female was placed with a lady in North Fargo, and she wanted us. She spent 2 days with us. We got to meet her, and she was so proud of what her dog could do. And she took us back to her room, and the dog's name was Willa. And she sat right next to her new partner. We've had this dog for a year, a little over a year. And she had this was her first dog, and she had her for 6 weeks in the dorm, learning, how to become a team. And the dog, when we went back to her room, the dog laid next to her, and she says, "Go see your mommy and daddy." And that is when I realized that I do this because my job was done. The dog knew what she had to do, even though she was with us longer. The dog knew what she was born and bred to do. And we walked out of there just proud, tears, but they were happy tears. So it took that moment to tell people this is why I do it. You have many tears. You have tears when you get the puppy, when you first get your puppy, because you have sleepless nights, and why am I doing this again? And then when you have that moment, when you see that puppy turn into this amazing guide dog, service dog, and they become a team, that you have just tears because your job is done, and it was a success.